Chapter 2 New York City. The very next day, in the human version of the world of Equestria, Twilight, Spike, and their Canterlot High friends were at the bus stop, waiting for the next bus with a few others.
Ooh, this is so exciting! We're going to New York!
Pinkie cheered as she bounced up and down. Rarity held her down.
Pinkie Pie, I know we're outside, but please use your inside voice. Actually, there isn't too big of a difference between them.
Well, Pinkie's got the right idea.
Rainbow said.
I mean, how often do we get a chance to go to New York of all places?
It is one of the biggest cities.
Fluttershy said.
Luckily, I had Sunset print a map of the city and all its best spots.
Twilight said in relief.
There's the bus.
Sunset said as they saw the bus drive up. When the bus pulled up, the doors opened up, allowing the passengers on board. Twilight looked down at Spike, who was in her backpack.
Okay, Spike, here we go. Take a deep breath.
Spike nodded as he sunk his head inside the backpack. The girls went on the bus and took a seat, with Twilight and Sunset together, Rainbow and Applejack together, Fluttershy with Rarity, and Pinkie sitting by herself looking excited. The bus driver closed the door and announced, "All right, passengers, next stop, New York City!" The girls smiled, looking excited, while unaware in the far back were the Dazzlings wearing their old hoodies from before with their hoods up. They looked ahead, seeing the Rainbooms and Sunset were too caught up in where they were going to even notice that they had snuck on board. The bus drove off, and the girls were waiting for when they would arrive in New York City. After hours of driving, the bus finally crossed the freeway and drove right into New York City. Twilight and the girls looked out the window, taking in all the surroundings. Twilight was far more amazed than the others.
Spike, look!
Twilight said as Spike popped his head out of the bag to get a good look at the city.
Whoa, it's like Manhattan or something.
The dog said quietly. Sunset spoke.
Yeah, surprised me too when I did some research and found out some of the places in this world were modeled or named after places in Equestria.
The bus stopped at the nearest bus stop, and the doors opened, allowing passengers to get off. Once they got off, the bus took off, and the passengers took off knowing where they had to go. The girls stood together as Twilight spoke up.
Okay, we're where we need to be. What now? First off, we need to get settled in the hotel I booked for us. And don't worry, they allow pets.
Rarity said as she patted Spike's head.
Let's get going.
Applejack said as the Rainbow started walking, while the Dazzlings snuck around and watched them leave.
Let's tail them.
Adagio began.
If we follow them, we may find more clues from Twilight. Let's hope you're right, Adagio.
Arya said, feeling doubtful. Sonata looked at a single newspaper article on the ground and saw an ad for Antonio's Pizza.
Ooh, pizza! My most favorite food in the whole wide world. Second only to tacos.
She smiled.
Focus, Sonata.
Adagio snapped her out of it.
Right. Sorry. Come on.
Adagio said as the three sirens started following after the Rainbooms, making sure to be a safe distance and remain casual. Later on, the girls were escorted into a luxurious hotel room that had a room for each one of them.
Whoa!
Rainbow gasped at how spacious and luxurious the room was.
Now this is fancy.
Applejack whistled in awe.
Look at the view!
Pinkie cheered as she went up to the large and open clear glass windows to see a perfect view of the city.
Thanks again for setting this up for us, Rarity.
Twilight thanked her.
My pleasure, Twilight. Alright, let's get settled in and then we can start our tour.
The princess said as they all nodded in agreement. Once the girls got settled into their hotel room, they set out into the city for a tour. They walked along the city, taking in all the sights, while Twilight was mentally taking notes on where everything was. They stopped at a crosswalk as Pinky spoke.
Can we get lunch now? I'm hungry.
Reckon we could all use a bite.
Applejack agreed.
Alright, let's break for lunch.
Twilight said.
Where should we go?
Fluttershy asked.
I did see an ad in New York's paper for a place called Antonio's Pizza. Best place in town.
Rainbow explained.
Then let's go there.
Sunset said.
Let me check the map and find it.
Twilight said as she was about to look at the map, only for a voice to speak.
You going to Antonio's?
The group looked around and saw who spoke to them. It was a girl about their age with short, ginger-colored hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a black shirt with a yellow and white sports shirt with the number 5 over it. Blue denim shoes, black leggings, brown bandages around her wrists, white high socks with 2 blue stripes on them, and black low-heel boots. Twilight answered.
Yes, actually, we are. But we don't really know where to find it.
Don't worry, I was on my way there myself actually. I could show you there if you want.
The redhead offered.
Thanks. By the way, what's your name?
Twilight asked.
I'm April O'Neil, and you all are?
My name is Twilight Sparkle.
Huh, interesting name.
April said, feeling curious.
My name is Sunset Shimmer. Nice to meet you.
How do you do, April? I'm Applejack.
I'm Rainbow Dash, the most awesomest girl you'll ever know.
Huh, clearly you don't know the meaning of being modest.
April crossed her arms.
That's a fact.
Rarity answered.
My name is Rarity. Very nice to meet you. And I must say you look quite the catch, April.
Oh, stop!
April brushed it off, feeling embarrassed. Pinky jumped in.
I'm Pinkie Pie, certified party planner. If there's a party to be held, then I'm your girl to put it together.
April thought.
And I thought Mikey was hyperactive.
Fluttershy drew a circle on the ground with her foot, feeling shy, and spoke.
I'm Fluttershy.
Nice to meet you.
April said, until she saw Spike in Twilight's bag.
Aw, who's this little guy? He's so cute.
This is my dog, Spike.
Twilight answered as April petted the dragon/dog's head a few times as he enjoyed it.
So, you were saying you can show us Antonio's?
Rainbow asked.
Yeah, I'm meeting a friend there myself. Well, let's go!
Pinky declared. So the girls started walking, while the Dazzlings were peeking around the corner.
There they go. Come on.
Adagio said as they continued to trail the rainbooms. Soon the girls arrived at the pizza parlor, known as Antonio's, as April spoke.
Well, this is it.
Come on, let's go eat!
Rainbow said as the group went inside and saw other teenagers and people enjoying the pizza.
Where do we sit?
Fluttershy wondered until they heard the voice of a boy speak up.
Yo, Red! Over here!
Well, they looked over and saw a boy a year older than them sitting at a booth. He had long black hair and brown eyes, and he wore a black shirt, jeans, a black bandana, and fingerless gloves. And he was missing 3 of his upper front teeth.
Casey! Hey!
April called as she went over with her new friends.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
Casey answered before noticing the 7 others.
Whoa! No wonder you were late. Did a cheerleading bus break down?
April gave him a deadpan look.
Very funny. These girls wanted directions to hear, and I helped them.
Well, aren't you gonna introduce me?
Casey asked. April cleared her throat.
Casey Jones, meet Twilight Sparkle, Applejack, Sunset Shimmer, Pinkie Pie,
Hi.
The girl greeted with a grin.
Rainbow Dash, Rarity, and Fluttershy.
Nice to meet ya.
Casey greeted before getting a look at Rainbow Dash, specifically her hair.
Nice hair. Trying to be a clown?
Rainbow frowned before gripping the collar of his shirt, taking him by surprise.
You wanna lose what little teeth you have, pal?
Not really.
Casey answered, feeling intimidated by the girl.
Rainbow.
Applejack pried her off of Casey.
You okay, Casey?
April asked.
Yeah, but wow. I've never been threatened by a girl like that. It actually felt sweet.
He had a faint blush. Rarity noticed what Rainbow meant by Casey's teeth.
Good heavens, how could you lose so much teeth?
Well, I am a hockey player.
He answered.
You play hockey?
Rainbow asked.
Yeah, I'm a champ.
Well, hockey's okay, but give me soccer any day.
Rainbow said.
Alright, y'all. Let's save the sports talk for later. My belly's hungrier than a cow.
Applejack began.
Why don't you join us?
April suggested.
Really?
Fluttershy asked, hopefully.
What?
Casey asked in confusion.
I thought this was going to be the two of us.
Come on, Casey. These girls are from out of town. Let's show them some hospitality.
April said.
Right. Hospitality.
Casey rolled his eyes, feeling another perfect chance was interrupted. Soon, they were all in the booth, enjoying some pizzas and sodas brought to them, as the girls were getting to know the two, who in turn were getting to know about the girls.
Whoa. You rocked the Battle of the Bands competition?
Casey asked.
You bet we rock.
Sunset confirmed.
That's amazing.
April admitted.
Because we are amazing.
Rainbow answered. As Pinky was stuffing pizza into her face, April and Casey looked repulsed.
Whoa. And I thought Mikey could stuff pizza.
Casey said as April stomped his foot under the table.
Ow!
Mikey? Who's that?
Twilight asked.
Just a friend of ours.
April answered before Casey unintentionally said more. The girls acknowledged that, as Twilight said.
This city sure is amazing.
Yeah, but you know a lot of crazy stuff happened here.
Casey said.
Crazy. How crazy?
Twilight asked curiously.
Well, a couple months back, the city was invaded by aliens.
Casey explained. The girls were confused as Applejack asked.
Come again?
April sighed.
As much as I hate to admit it, but Casey's right. The city was invaded by these brain-like aliens calling themselves the Krang.
That's preposterous!
Rarity spoke up in skepticism.
Aliens aren't real!
That's because you never see one up close like we did.
Casey answered. Pinky, who was at her laptop, looked at the New York headlines and articles.
Huh, they're not lying. It looks like this city was threatened by aliens some time ago.
If it's true, what stopped them?
Sunset inquired. The two teens looked hesitant to answer until April spoke up.
No one really knows what did it.
No one?
Fluttershy asked, and the two shook their heads.
Odd.
Twilight answered. Suddenly, her cell phone rang, and she picked it up and answered it.
Hello? Oh, Donnie Hay. What? It's that time already? Sorry, we must have lost track. Yes, don't worry. We'll be there. See you soon.
Twilight had been eyeballing April's phone, seeing it looked like a turtle shell, which made her recall her vision.
I wonder.
What's up, Red?
Casey asked.
Casey, we're late.
What? Oh, man, time does fly.
Sorry about this, girls, but we need to go.
April said as she and Casey paid for the meal. The girls watched them leave.
Sorry about this, girls, but we need to go.
April said before she and Casey took off. Twilight was still eyeballing April as she and Casey left.
Girls, I think we should follow them.
Huh?
They asked.
Why, Twilight?
Fluttershy asked.
I have a feeling they're connected to the dream I had.
Twilight answered.
How do you figure that?
Pinky asked.
April's cell phone. Didn't it look sort of like a turtle shell?
The girls thought of it until Rarity spoke up.
Now that you mention it, there were similarities to it. And I told you in my dream I saw a walking, talking turtle. Maybe they're connected to it.
You may be onto something, Twilight.
Spike said.
Right. Come on, or we'll lose them.
Twilight said as they got up and left, but not before Pinky took a breadstick for the road. Outside Antonio's, Twilight sat Spike down on the ground.
Come on, Spike. Use your dog nose to sniff him out.
Twilight said.
I'll try.
Spike said as he started sniffing the ground a few times before his head shot up.
I got something.
Lead the way, little buddy.
Applejack said as Spike followed the trail with the girls following. They followed until they peeked around a corner and saw Casey and April going into an alley. Twilight motioned to them to keep quiet. The group saw them open a manhole and climb down it before Casey covered it with the lid.
There they go.
Rainbow whispered.
Why in the wide world would they be going down into a sewer? Ugh.
Rarity asked in disgust.
Let's go after them.
Sunset suggested.
What?
Rarity asked.
You don't expect me to go down into that filthy, germ-infested, diseased place?
Oh, quit your belly aching, girl.
Applejack pushed her along. Rainbow opened the manhole and Rarity looked down in repulse.
Ugh, it even smells worse.
And proceeded to climb down, followed by the others. When Rainbow was last, she put the lid back on. At the exact same time, the Dazzlings walked right past the alley with Adagio looking angry.
I can't believe we lost them.
She growled.
We wouldn't have if Sonata hadn't stopped to look in the windows.
Aria replied.
What? There were some good sales.
Sonata whined. Adagio stared firmly at her.
Because of you, we've lost our chance of finding out any clues where we can regain our magic.
She grunted as they continued on. Down in the sewers, Twilight and the others were walking around the sewer tunnels following the trail, while Rarity was fumigating the whole place with her perfume.
I feel like we're going in circles.
Rainbow said.
I know. It's so big down here, we could get lost.
Fluttershy agreed.
Now I wish we had a map of the sewer system.
Twilight said. Spike as he continued to lead the way into an old subway tunnel.
This is the subway, but this one looks old and outdated.
Sunset noticed. The group stopped as they started to hear the sound of a TV show. They proceeded cautiously as they peeked around the subway turnstiles and saw a lair.
Check this out.
Rainbow gasped in amazement.
Amazing.
Fluttershy said in awe.
Now this is a place to hold a party.
Pinky added. Twilight looked up and her eyes widened.
Oh dear, Celestia.
As they all looked up and looked very shocked, for sitting in front of a TV were 4 mutant turtles wearing colorful masks around their eyes, and they wore belts with ninja weapons on them.
What in the...
Rarity gasped.
Are those aliens?
Rainbow asked.
No, they're mutant.
Pinky answered.
How can you tell?
Fluttershy asked.
Well, it's obvious.
She answered in an "it's so obvious" tone. Twilight studied them until she saw one of them had a blue mask and 2 swords on his shell.
Girls, that's him! The turtle in my dream!
Really? Let me see.
Pinky said as she tried to get a better look, only to end up knocking over a pile of pizza boxes, resulting in a noise. The girl's eyes widened as the 4 turtles looked in their direction.
Intruders!
One turtle with a purple mask gasped.
Let's get him!
One with a red mask declared as they ran to the source.
Run!
Rarity cried as they tried to get away, only to get pulled back into the lair by the 4 turtles. The group were on the floor as the 4 turtles stood above them, looking down at them while looking intimidating.
Girls, it's been nice knowing you.
Pinky whimpered, while Fluttershy clung to Rainbow in fright.